afternoon and welcome to the Midday News for Wednesday, August 5. I'm Carrie Simpson. Here is what we have in the bulletin. NEPA launches National Beach and River Safety Campaign amidst rising drowning concerns. Foreign Minister urges more nations to sign nuclear treaties. And later in sports, Jamaica look to secure Under-20 World Cup qualification today. Thank you for joining us. Now the details. Up first this afternoon, the National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA, has launched a National Beach and River Safety Campaign focused on reducing drowning incidents through public education and greater awareness of water hazards. Between 2020 and 2024, a total of 128 people have drowned at rivers and beaches in Jamaica. Speaking on TVJ's Smile Jamaica morning program, Beaches coordinator Italy Patterson-Thwaite said the rise in drowning incidents is rooted in lack of awareness.
The beaches and other marine environments, as well as the rivers and ponds, but they lack knowledge about the different ones and how to safely enjoy these areas. You're probably in an area where you're used to that your particular river, but you moved somewhere else and then you're thinking every river, I mean Debbie was speaking to me earlier about it, every river have the same topography, and as such you were ending up in danger because you're not really sure about how deep that area is.
Now, according to police statistics, of the 128 drownings, rivers and ponds account for 74, while beaches account for 54.
We don't have regulations in place for safety. However, at beaches, we have the beach control measures, safety measures, regulations that is in place that the agency is mandated to administer and enforce. So you realize that based on the data that we'd receive, we'd have less drowning at beaches in comparison to rivers. So that's something that we're trying to bring more awareness to river safety so that we have less drowning incidents in place. This campaign will be going into communities. We'll be also going into the schools to bring awareness, and we're hoping to speak to parents to get them to be more aware of what safety practices they should employ when their kids are at the beach and how to properly supervise them 24/7, not just in a short period of time, but to always supervise your children at the beach, at rivers. Always ensure that you're aware of your environment and the changes occurring at these sites as well.
Following a fatal crash that claimed the life of a 31-year-old woman in St. Mary on Monday, there are renewed calls for safety improvements along the Agualta Vale Main Road. Alia Bryant reports.
The driver of the ill-fated vehicle lost control, plunging into the Wagwater River. Residents say it's not the first time. They're calling on the authorities to install a protective barrier along the section of the Agualta Vale Main Road to prevent other incidents.
And they need to put up when vehicle comes on lake pan, it can't really move it from there. So you see me? That's on firm. You have the iron and all of those things and the concrete from the end of the bridge there. So we walk away. Because look at right now all the bridge want to fix again.
That's why I'm you can't let so if you walk you stay back to football.
Now, according to police reports, the Toyota Corolla Altis had 4 persons on board. The driver, while negotiating a sharp left-hand bend near the Wagwater Bridge, lost control of the vehicle. It veered across the road and crashed into the river. While 3 occupants managed to escape the submerged vehicle, 31-year-old Chernelle Maxine Etienne from Trinidad and Tobago was swept away by the strong current after losing her footing as she tried to reach safety. She was pronounced dead at hospital. Now, the St. Mary police are renewing calls for drivers to obey the speed limit, remain alert, and operate their vehicles safely to help prevent similar tragedies. Alia Bryant, TVJ News.
To other news, with global nuclear threats increasing, Foreign Affairs Minister Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith is calling for more countries to sign the relevant treaties which aim to stop the spread of nuclear weapons, promote peaceful uses of atomic energy, and achieve total disarmament. She was giving remarks at the inaugural New Freedom lecture at the Norman Manley Law School yesterday.
As a community of nations, we can do more. Non-proliferation is insufficient. We know from history that the use of nuclear weapons has devastating humanitarian effects, inflicting mass death and destruction. We also know that the strengthening of national nuclear weapon systems diverts resources from the world's biggest threats, such as climate change, inequality, and pandemics. Mr. President, to achieve general and complete disarmament under effective international control, we must all recommit to cooperative dialogue in good faith, utilizing the multilateral system that was created for that very purpose. We call on states that have not joined the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, and the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons to consider doing so as a matter of urgency.
Now, locally, Senator Johnson Smith says Jamaica, as a non-nuclear weapon state, has been playing its role in advancing nuclear disarmament.
Jamaica, as a non-nuclear weapon state, has been playing its role in advancing nuclear disarmament. Jamaica has strengthened its legislative and administrative framework to combat nuclear weapons proliferation by enacting the Nuclear Safety and Radiation Protection Act and establishing its implementing agency, the Hazardous Substances Regulatory Authority, to regulate the use of ionizing radiation and nuclear technology for the protection of people, property, and the environment.
At least one expert believes the island is facing a housing crisis that needs urgent attention. And as the government looks to attract investors to previously like Thomas, there is a recommendation for affordable housing to be prioritized. Here's Kalisha Williams.
The island currently faces a housing deficit of about 150,000 homes. This means many people are without a proper place to call home. And since Hurricane Melissa, the situation has worsened. On many real estate sites, the average cost for a one-bedroom apartment in Kingston and St. Andrew is $24 million. And in places like St. Thomas, a one-bedroom house ranges from $7 to $23 million.
As a society, we have not done enough to allow for our marginalized community to access land or to provide with affordable housing.
As a result, according to urban planner Professor Carol Archer, issues surrounding squatting or informal settlements in the island continue to increase. And as many people seek access to shelter, they often build in areas that are not fit for purpose.
When you look at those houses that are being built as part of this new thrust for development, they are not affordable housing. They are not at the level where 70% of the average Jamaican can afford to purchase. We have a serious housing problem, and it has to be addressed through addressing the issue of land.
She pointed to places like St. Thomas where strong focus is being placed on the Midday urban center. Professor Archer stressed that the problem lies in the very definition of the center.
As an urban planner, I need to make this correction. What was built was a commercial center, not an urban center by definition. Okay. Yeah, let's be very clear. Because by definition, urban center is not just where you have stores, where you have the Kentucky and the government building. An urban center does include residential development.
As the parish moves forward, she said the government has to focus on affordable housing in the parish. Already, St. Thomas has been seeing a real estate boom, with prices increasing due to the construction of the Southern Coastal Highway.
We have to make sure that we provide the government work with, whether it's private sector, churches, other, investment entities, to ensure that when housing is being provided, it is adequate, it is affordable, and it provides for the individual to enhance their lives and livelihood.
Kalisha Williams, TVJ News.
A truck driver escaped major injuries this morning after the vehicle veered off the road off the Mount Rossa Main Road in St. Catherine and overturned into a yard. Reports indicate that another truck, which became disabled along the roadway, contributed to the incident. Now, the driver of the overturned truck was reportedly unable to safely negotiate the narrow passage left available. Now, motorists traveling through the area are being cautioned to exercise extreme caution and expect delays or use alternative routes until the scene is cleared. And it's time for a break here on the Midday News. Do stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. It's now time for the Business Minute.
Latco Distributors is reporting strong first quarter growth with net profit climbing more than 45% for the 3 months ended June 30. The company posted net profit of $442 million, up from $304 million in the corresponding period last year. Revenue rose 16.1% to $8.44 billion. The company says the improved performance was driven by strong demand across its nutrition, food and beverage categories, as well as gains in home care, personal care, and pharmaceutical products. Its export business also continued to grow as the company expanded its presence in key overseas markets. Further afield, uncertainty over the Iran war continues to reverberate through oil and gas markets. Brent crude is fluctuating around $80 a barrel after a slight rebound Wednesday morning. The U.S. benchmark is a few dollars lower. Iranian state media is casting doubt on President Donald Trump's claim a Strait of Hormuz deal is imminent. Meanwhile, Iran-backed Houthis are threatening Red Sea oil traffic. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Antonia Atkinson.
Thank you, Antonia. Time now for the top stories from around the world.
In the region, the Dominican government is considering appealing a high court ruling that found President Silvani Burton acted unconstitutionally by failing to appoint an opposition leader for 18 months. Attorney General Levi Peter says the case raises significant constitutional issues that may require a higher court's review. The landmark ruling came after a legal challenge by former opposition leader Lennox Linton, who described the decision as a victory for democracy and the rule of law. And on the international scene, at least 17 people have been killed and dozens more injured after Russia launched a wave of missile strikes on Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, and surrounding areas overnight. Ukrainian officials say warehouses, a railway station, and other civilian infrastructure were hit, while President Volodymyr Zelensky renewed calls for allies to provide more air defense systems. Now, Russia said the attack targeted logistics centers it claimed were supporting Ukraine's military operations. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Aaliyah Bryant.
We now head to our final break. When we come back, we'll have your Midday Sports Report.